Well, guess what time it is? It's time for a new build for my Deathwatch chapter of the Space Marines for Warhammer 40k. I had quite a few units to choose from, and so I thought maybe I should continue working on the Get Started set. There's a lot of models in that box, so I should probably get started on some of them. And so I don't have any characters yet. I've got a Hellblaster squad. I now have a Venerable Dreadnought or something like that. One of those Dreadnoughts. That one came in the Get Started kit. And so I don't have any HQ units. I mean, I also don't have any troops units, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. So I wanted kind of a simple job. And while the build itself looks pretty simple, the painting might be a bit more challenging, so I'm going to work on that. So the first step is to build this guy. And I'm planning this out so that I don't make my painting life a bit more difficult. I'm already painting challenged. I don't need extra challenge. No, thank you. And by looking at this deal here, it looks like I can get away with a couple of sub-assemblies. So this assembly here is fine. So it's the body, the head, one of the legs. I can put that together. Actually, I'm going to leave the head out. So it's going to be the body, the torso, one of the legs. I'll add the other leg. And instead of adding this backpack / cape in there, I'm going to leave that off and use that as a separate sub-assembly. So I'm going to paint them separately and only bring them together once I'm done painting them, because if I put this cape on the back here, I'm just not going to be able to get into some of these areas back there. So I'm going to leave that off. So it's got one sub-assembly, two sub-assemblies. I'm not counting the head as a sub-assembly, but technically I guess it is a sub-assembly. And I can probably get away with adding the arm to the main sub-assembly. I'll leave out the right pauldron. I guess I'll have to paint the power pack separately, but I can attach the other arm. So basically it'll be most of the Marine without the back stuff and without the pauldrons. So that'll be the primary assembly, and there'll be a couple of separate pieces. So yeah, it's not too complicated. Let's hope I don't mess it up, despite the fact that it isn't so complicated. Let's get to snipping. Okay, all right. All the bits are off the sprue, and I've assembled what I could. But as it turns out, I was wrong about the number of sub-assemblies that I would need. What I didn't notice here is that the head isn't separate from that body part. So if you look right there, you'll see that the head is part of that body. Now, that in and of itself isn't a problem, but when you put the front part of the torso, this guy right there, it has an armor plate like over the neck, and it actually obscures almost from the nose down, which means that if I put that together before I paint, I'm not going to be able to paint his face. And look at that face. I mean, he's just super enthusiastic about life. So I went from 3 sub-assemblies plus a couple of different bits to basically I was able to attach one thing, one piece of the leg to the torso. That's it. Everything else has to be painted separately, but that's all right. It's part of the hobby, right? So it's time to do some priming, and I'm going to do something a little different. I've been priming with Citadel paints. So the Dreadnought got a little bit of this. The Hell Blasters got a little bit of that. And I've noticed a little weirdness with my painting. So as I'm applying paint over the primed part of the model, I'm having some trouble with the paint either adhering to the primer or soaking through. I don't know, and it's most likely that I'm making a mistake with how I load my brush, yada yada yada. But I want to try it, so I'm trying this guy. So it's Army Painter Danger. It's matte black. So I'm going to try this. Since I'm using Army Painter paints for the most part, I'm hoping that my experience will be different. But if it's not different, if it's I'm still having difficulty laying paint down, I know it's not the primer, it's this guy. That guy. You can't tell. It's a thumb. This guy. Yeah. Alright, so I'm going to prime it up and start to paint. Alright, here is our Watch Captain Artemis. I have painted his face. It's not all the way done yet. I just did the base layer. I still need to do a wash, but the wash isn't hard to put on even with the cowl. I don't know what that's called, that neck piece. So that should be fine. I did the hair kind of like a salt and pepper blonde. I did the back of the neck there. He's all metallic. That's fine. And so I have his torso kind of joined. I do like this stance. He's like running over something. Maybe when I base him, I can add some kind of bit that he's jumping over or something. I don't know. But that pose gives me, you know, the desire to do something cool like that. All right. So now that he's on there, so the next piece I want to mount is this guy. It's his. I'm going to put it back on. Put it back on this. So this is the next piece that I want to mount because his shoulder's on there, and that's where his right arm will be joined. So I can't do much without this. So I have to make sure that before I mount this, I paint this and the reverse side of this. And I wasn't sure what to do with him. The pictures on the box of this character, I'll show the front of him, so I don't know what's going on back here. On the box, he's got like a cream colored thing here, and that's cool and all, but I kind of wanted him to be a little more, I don't know, a little more smooth. It's smooth with a V, not the way you normally spell it. I want to give him some flair. So all of these Deathwatch models, they're, black, silver, gold, and maybe some red. And that's, it gives him a solid look. But this guy, he's the Watch Captain. He deserves a little flair. He deserves a little something, something. So I'm going to try something with him. I don't know. I'm torn between like a rich purple or like a rich blue, and I don't know which way to go. But for the back of it, I'm thinking, for the back of this, I'm thinking a brown leather cloak. Or should it be a brown leather? Maybe it'll be the same color. It'll be like just a cape. So whatever color I choose here will go here. This is one of those places where if I had a grounding in color theory, this selection would be, you know, pretty straightforward. But I don't. So I'm going to take a stab at this. I'm going to take a stab at I'm going to take a stab at purple. We'll go with like royalty color, right? It's supposed to be like a royal thing back in the day where peasants couldn't wear certain colors because only the lords wanted those colors for themselves. They don't want them to look like peasants. Well, this guy's no peasant. He's Watch Captain Artemis. So I'm going to try purple. I don't know what this is going to look like. This is going to be potentially another one of those cases where I make a mistake. Well, not live, but, you know, on camera. So in order to find which purple to use, I'm literally going to the box of this thing and looking at what purples are available. We've got Alien Purple, which is a really saturated purple. We have Orc Blood, which is kind of a more muted, like a mixture of like purple and maybe some like off-white. We have Warlock Purple, that's more pinkish. So I think I'm going to go with this Orc Blood. It's like a pastel purple. I think that's appropriate. Yeah, let's try that. Alright, here's Orc Blood. It's clear I got to mix this one up. It's like, you can see the white splotches. Still has like a splotch down there. All right, well, let's go with it. So this is one of those deals right here where I'm thinking, sorry about my fingers. I've been kind of painting, and this is what happens. I could probably wash my hands. Yeah, I should do that after this. So this is one of those situations where my brain is thinking, hey man, there's a good chance this is a mistake. This is something you're gonna regret. You're gonna make a mistake and then you have to go and correct it. Why not just save yourself the trouble and not make the mistake? And the question is, and the answer to that is, for the lulz, I want to see what happens. So it's not quite the case that, you know, it's for the lulz. I am curious to see what happens here. It's quite a large piece, and I'm putting it on over black primer. You know, I could have gone over and put in an underlayer of white to make sure that my purple would look okay. But I wanted to see. It's pooling in these little recesses, and that's not where I wanted to pool. And I think, I mean, that's not a bad color. Yeah, I think this is going to work. The question is, do I want the backside to match? And maybe I do. Except that I'm going to do something different. So for this is the underside. So this is the one this is the side of the cloak that's touching his back. And so it's going to be darker than the back. So I didn't do this intentionally. I went with the purple right over the black for a specific reason. I wanted to see, I've been desperately trying to figure out what is going on with the adhesion of my paints. So I was having some trouble earlier with my paints not sticking to the primer, and so I went so far as to change the primer that I'm using to see if that's what was happening, and I think it is. I don't know for sure, right? But the primer I'm using on this is the Army Painter Black, flat black. For the other pieces I was having trouble with, it's the Citadel color. And I don't know if they're, if they don't play nice with each other, but it kind of feels that way. And it gives me a sad. Because, so these, the cover, it like the paint seems to stick to the primer, the model, pretty well, and I think I should probably stop painting on wet paint. Anyway, so I've got the underside of the cape. Cape's underside. It's fine. I'm going to go over it one more time. I'm going to let this dry. And for the back, I am going to do a white undercoat, because the back theoretically is where all the light is catching. So this is going to be essentially it'll be the same color purple, but it's going to look lighter on the back than it does for here, because the underside will be shadows. That's the idea. I don't know what the result of that is going to be, but that's what I'm going to try. And I'm going to see what kind of stuff is back here. So there's a belt. Okay, there's some spaces where I'm going to add some of that silver. Let me try that again. So before I add the cloak to this guy, obviously, after I finish painting the cloak, I need to make sure what's back here so I can plan and I can figure out what I don't know, right? Because there's a lot I don't know since I've never painted this guy. There's a lot I don't know about what's back here, so I need to check and plan. So I see a belt, I see a pouch, I see 2 grenades, I see another pouch, and I don't know what that is, but it's going to have different paint. And then the joints there, I'm going to kind of silver up a bit. For sure, I'm going to have to do something with the bottom of a shoe, because, actually with both of them, because they're going to both show up. And so it's at this point that I have to decide, am I going to try the heavy metal painting style where you add the highlight to each of these things. And honestly, if I'm going to try it on anybody, it needs to be this guy. So I'm going to wrestle with that decision for a little bit. In the meantime, I'm going to figure out how I want to paint his belt and the pouches and the grenades and stuff like that that's on there. I'm just going to focus on the back. So, all right, I'm going to start painting, and I'll give this some more thought on my color selections, on just those areas where I'm not sure what I'm going to do. So I'm going to start with the things that I know that I am, what color I am going to pick. So really just the joins for now. That's going to be this silver. Alright, so if you'll excuse me, there's people outside of my apartment, and they're talking, because that's where you have your conversations, is outside people's doors. And my dog is not having any of it. As grumpy as I am, he's grumpier than I am. So, I know, buddy, I know. There's people outside, and they exist, and that's bad. So rather than just doing the silver, I'm going to make this a wash. And it's, I don't know why I do this, but for larger areas like this, I like to make it a wash after the fact. Like, I'll apply the layer, and then I'll add water to the layer to make it kind of a wash. Now, I could have saved myself some trouble and create the wash and then apply that. But I feel like this does something different. I just can't put my fingers on it, or I don't know what to call it. And there's not enough water on this one, I think. So, I don't know. I feel like it goes on, or it shows up different than a wash. And I may be completely off base. Like, I might be completely on crack on that one. But, I don't know. It feels different to me. And so that's where I'm going to go. So I just kind of lightly silvered up the bottom of the shoes. That was the idea there. I'm going to let this dry. Here's this guy. Watch Captain Artemis. And he's mostly painted. Most of the details, most of the broad strokes are in. I still need to do a bit of detailing, but push came to shove, dude's ready for the table. But I still have quite a bit of stuff I want to accomplish with him before he's all set. But I have enough painted that I can start bringing him together. So, I thought I'd have you guys watch me do that. Because, you know, what else could you possibly be wanting to do right now? What are you going to do? Go to a bar or a restaurant? COVID. So yeah, I went with this vibrant purple cape. I think it looks alright. And then, I don't remember, so there's a, you have to put these on in the right order. So the backpack and the gun, it's a multi-something or the other. They're connected. So you have to put them on in the right order. I think that's the message I walked away from. Although it doesn't actually say. Oh, yeah. It does say. Arm goes first. I'm not 100% sure that it matters, but why tempt fate? And I think it's going to be one of these deals. Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be kind of like that. There is a little indent. Oh, no. Cape down. Okay. There is a little indent on the shoulder. Looks kind of like a little rectangle. And it corresponds to the rectangle right here. So that one right there with no primer and no paint, that's the guy that goes into that rectangle. So it's going to fit something like this. I think it's... Is it that way? Yeah, I think it's this guy right here. I think that's where it fits. So let's commit. I can always can always try to fix it if I realize that I've made a mistake. But sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do. I'm gonna add a little dotted glue there. You know, I just realized probably should have put his pauldron on before I put the backpack on. That might cause a problem. Ooh, let's find out. Oh, it's falling apart everywhere. Okay, so he fell off the... Jeez. He fell off the base. You know, as much as I want to avoid using super glue, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. Oh, come on! Okay. Just gonna not touch him for a while. There is Watch Captain Artemis. I have finished with the painting, so it's done, table ready. If I was looking for commission work, this would guarantee I wouldn't get it. But it's fine. It's fine. There's a couple of things that I did that I wasn't sure were going to work out. But at the end, I won't say I'm happy with it. I'm satisfied with it. I got over my issues with him not staying in place, or all his pieces not staying in place, basically by using super glue. It's the only way I got it to work. And so you'll notice there's his purple cape. It's lighter at the top. It's a little darker at the bottom. Don't know how noticeable it is, but it's real to me. So I've got his details in. It's not a clean job. Like, I could have done better. Although maybe not much better. This is probably right. It's kind of bumping up at the interface of my ability, experience, and motivation. I don't know what it is. When I first start a project, I am gung-ho and I'm just excited to try something, and but somewhere along the way, somewhere along the line, I just get fed up with stuff, and I just want to finish it. And so you end up with, for example, the sword. It's got a little bit of a identity crisis. It doesn't know whether it wants to be blue or silver. That little detail there on his elbow, it's kind of sloppy. I wanted it to be a red disc with a golden starburst. The pauldron. I am pretty sure I gave it a dry brushing, but it looks like I didn't. back here, I think I got most of what I wanted done. I'm digging that detail there. Hang on. How about now? I'm digging this detail here with a little skull on the tank of the multi-melta. And so I give everything kind of a nice little flat wash to make it look a little aged and maybe bring out some of the detail. I don't know if, so you kind of see those staining patterns on the cape. I'm not sure if that's the dry brushing or if that's the white wash that I gave it to make kind of bring out the white, you know, the white of the cape or the lighter side of the cape. But it looks like it's kind of stained, and I'm not sure what that is. I think there's a little piece there that's also like super glue. So every time this backpack or this line fell down, it made contact with the already painted cape. And it was such a pain in my rear. But it's done. You'll see the bolter or the combi melta. I could probably use another little wash, maybe some silver on the kind of the melta part of it. I'm okay there. I don't have a hand steady enough to really get at these buttons to give them different colors or whatever. Maybe with some practice, I'll develop some courage and some extra skill, and I'll go back and add those details. I'm okay with this pauldron. It's got the old kind of weathered look. That's fine. On the front, I've got all the details I think I needed. As I look at my viewfinder or my phone as I'm recording this, it looks a little orange. It doesn't come off that orange. Maybe it's the lighting in real life versus the phone. I'm not sure, but it's a little different. The pauldron I just noticed is not finished. I gave it kind of there was a red kneecap, and then I kind of dry brushed the skull, and it isn't showing up really well. But and I gave the belt buckle there kind of a little bit of a dry brush with gold to bring up that little skull on the belt buckle. Same thing with that detail on the vambrace. Is that what that's called? Or maybe the vambrace is up here. I'm not sure. It's the leg armor piece. There's a little gold detail down there. The other thing you didn't see is the base. So the base came from a different project. So I actually haven't published that video yet, but I made a little video on this base. It's a brick base. It's a resin base. It's not the original base that came with this model. And so I kind of showed my viewers how I did that. I did some flocking here, which I'm not really happy with, but it's on, and so it's going to stay there until I go back and either, you know, kind of redo this or get another one. Who knows? But that's where it is. The other thing that you might notice is that there is no heavy metal highlighting. I tried, man. I tried. Maybe I'm using too thick of a brush. Maybe my hands aren't steady enough. I just can't. I can't get the detail. Like, it just looks hideous when I try it. So I tried it on a few places. I ended up having to wash it off, and so as a result, the model looks a little dull. I gave it a pass with the Mechanicus. Well, hang on. Not Mechanicus. I gave it a pass with the Munitorium varnish to kind of seal stuff in, including the flocking. I don't know what it's going to look like if I say, for example, I go back and try to bring out that skull detail or maybe dry brush that pauldron some more. I don't know if it'll look weird over the varnish. For now, I won't try. I've got a ton of other stuff, a ton of other models that I want to work on. And so, really, I kind of want to get these table ready. Even if they never end up in a battle, I want to get them table ready. At some point, I'll go back and attempt to increase my skill, but there it is. Watch Captain Artemis in his not quite glory.